There was a time when traveling felt simple. You picked a place, booked a room, packed your bags, and left. No surprises, no confusion, just a predictable experience. But over time, something started to feel off. Hotels became expensive, standardized, almost identical no matter where you went. Different city, same room. And then, almost out of nowhere, a new idea appeared. What if you didn't stay in a hotel at all? What if you stayed in someone's home? What if travel felt personal again? Cheaper, more flexible, more real. That idea became Airbnb. And for a while, it didn't just compete with hotels. It completely changed how the world traveled. It felt new. It felt exciting. It felt like the future. But like many ideas that start simple, something happened as it grew. Because the same platform that once made travel cheaper and more personal is now being questioned for becoming expensive, complicated, and sometimes even worse than the hotels it tried to replace. So the real question is, what happened to Airbnb? Because this isn't just a story about a company, it's a story about what happens when something built for people slowly turns into something built for profit, and how, in that process, it starts to lose what made it special in the first place. It started with a simple problem. Back in 2007, two designers in San Francisco were struggling to pay rent. No investors, no big plan, just a problem that needed a quick solution. A design conference was coming to the city. Hotels were fully booked, and they noticed something obvious. People needed a place to stay, and they had extra space. So they bought a few air mattresses, put them in their living room, and rented them out to strangers. That was it. No complex system, no massive launch, just air mattresses on a floor. But that small idea worked, because it solved two problems at the same time. Travelers needed affordable places to stay, and regular people needed extra income. Simple idea, perfect timing. But in the beginning, almost no one believed in it. Staying in a stranger's home felt risky, even unsafe. Why would you trust someone you've never met? Why would you let strangers into your house? Growth was slow, funding was uncertain, and the idea felt too unconventional to scale. Then everything changed. In 2008, the global financial crisis hit. Jobs disappeared, incomes became unstable, and suddenly, people weren't just open to new ideas, they needed them. Renting out a spare room wasn't weird anymore, it was survival. Airbnb didn't just survive that moment, it grew because of it. Hosts joined the platform to make money. Guests used it because it was cheaper than hotels. It wasn't about novelty anymore, it made sense. And once something makes sense at scale, growth becomes unstoppable. Air mattresses turned into spare rooms. Spare rooms turned into apartments. Apartments turned into full homes. Cities opened up. Then countries. And within a few years, Airbnb wasn't just a startup, it was everywhere. Travel itself started to change. Instead of staying in predictable hotel rooms, people could live inside real neighborhoods. They could stay in local homes, small apartments, even unique places like tree houses, cabins, or luxury villas. It felt different, more personal, more human. Airbnb wasn't just selling a place to sleep, it was selling an experience. The idea of living like a local became its identity, and people loved it. At the same time, the platform was incredibly easy to use. Clean design, simple booking, review systems that built trust between complete strangers. Compared to traditional hotel booking, it felt modern, fast, effortless. But the biggest advantage was price. In many cases, Airbnb was significantly cheaper than hotels. More space, more flexibility, often a better experience for less money. That combination made it unstoppable. By the time the company went public in 2020, it had reached a massive scale. Tens of billions in valuation, millions of listings across more than 190 countries. It didn't just compete with the hotel industry, it reshaped it. But this is where things quietly began to shift. Not all at once, not in a way people immediately noticed, but slowly, the original idea started to change. As demand increased, hosts realized something important. This wasn't just extra income anymore. This was a business. Entire apartments were bought just to list on Airbnb. Investors entered the space, professional hosts took over, and the platform that was built on sharing started turning into something else: optimization. Prices began to rise. At first, it was subtle, almost unnoticeable. Then came the fees, cleaning fees, service fees, additional charges that didn't always show up front. A listing that looked affordable at first glance could suddenly become expensive by the time you reach checkout, sometimes dramatically more expensive. There were cases where a one-night stay came with a cleaning fee higher than the stay itself, and this is where the experience started to break. Because Airbnb was supposed to be the cheaper alternative, that was the promise, but it didn't last. In many cases, Airbnb was no longer cheaper than hotels. hotels. Sometimes it was even more expensive. And unlike hotels, where pricing is clear, Airbnb started to feel unpredictable. You didn't always know the real price until the final step. And once trust starts to crack, it's hard to rebuild. At the same time, quality became inconsistent. Some stays were incredible, others were disappointing. Photos didn't always match reality. Maintenance issues became more common. And because every property was managed differently, the experience varied every time. With hotels, you know what you're getting. With Airbnb, you're taking a chance. And when prices go up, that uncertainty becomes a bigger problem. Then came something even more noticeable: the rules. What once felt relaxed started to feel restrictive. Long lists of instructions: no guests, no parties, take out the trash, clean before checkout, follow detailed rules just to avoid extra charges. In some cases, guests were expected to do chores before leaving, while still paying high cleaning fees. The experience shifted from feeling like a guest to feeling like a temporary tenant, and that shift changed everything. Cancellation policies became stricter. Customer support didn't always resolve issues quickly, and when something went wrong, it wasn't always easy to fix. Compared to hotels, where service is centralized and predictable, Airbnb started to feel complicated. But the impact didn't stop with travelers. It started affecting entire cities. As more properties were converted into short-term rentals, fewer homes were available for long-term residents. In major cities, rent prices increased and housing became harder to find. Neighborhoods changed. Residential areas slowly turned into tourist zones, and people began pushing back. Governments introduced regulations. Limits were set. In some places, entire categories of rentals were restricted or banned. Airbnb, once seen as an innovative solution, was now facing resistance from cities and communities. At the same time, hotels adapted. They improved pricing, upgraded experiences, and invested in better technology. Slowly, they became competitive again. And as Airbnb became more complicated, hotels started to feel simple again. Then, social media amplified everything. Viral posts showing bad Airbnb experiences spread quickly. Unexpected fees, misleading listings, extreme rules, even reports of hidden cameras in some properties. Whether rare or common, these stories shaped perception, and a new narrative started to form. Airbnb is not worth it anymore. And once that idea spreads, it spreads fast. Despite all of this, Airbnb hasn't failed. It's still massive. Millions of people still use it. It's still profitable. But something important has changed. Not the business itself, but how people feel about it. The excitement is lower, the trust is weaker, the simplicity is gone, and the company knows it. That's why Airbnb has started making changes, like showing total prices up front and improving transparency. They're trying to fix the problems that came with growth. But the deeper issue remains, because Airbnb didn't just grow, it evolved. And in that evolution, it became something very different from what it originally was. In the beginning, Airbnb was about people, about sharing space, about making travel accessible. But over time, it became about efficiency, scaling, and maximizing revenue. And somewhere along the way, it lost part of what made it special. And maybe that's the real story here. Not just about Airbnb, but about what happens when simple ideas scale. Because what starts as personal and affordable often becomes complex and expensive. Not because it failed, but because it succeeded too well. Airbnb didn't collapse. Airbnb didn't fail. It just became the thing it once tried to replace.